All right, welcome back to the Altr Show. Got my man, Brother Ali, down here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I just want to say, when I first walked in here, bro, I seen the Jet magazines. It made me think of my granny house. I had, Jet magazines got me through. Just seeing that and seeing the culture. And then I seen all the painting, all the children's books. I was blown away. I was like, wow. It was so weird. I was like, I feel like I'm home. Like, that was the feeling that I got from it. So I just want to say, what even made you I need to do a bookstore?
Yeah, man. First, I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you for this opportunity. It's so funny you mentioned the jet wall and that feeling. It wasn't by design to put the jet wall right there at the entrance, but it's so interesting that's generally the response is when people first walk in the door and they see the Jets there, it takes them to a different place. It takes them to Granny's house. It takes them to their auntie house where the Jets will be in the bathroom. That's what most people say. And then they start flipping through the pages. We even had somebody who was in a Jet magazine was like, I'm in one of these. And so, it kind of sets the stage of this space that you're walking into, which is a very intentional Black space. A community space, right? And so, as you mentioned, the children's books, normally we have chessboards out on the table, we have music playing, right? We do poetry nights in here. So it really sets the tone and sets the stage for everything that you're going to experience when you walk into this space to let you know that this is home, right? This is community. This is for us, right? And we need it. And that's why we created it, because we need it. Right. We knew that there were not a lot of spaces for the community, for Black folks in Phoenix, Arizona, to just come in and be. Right. Not necessarily. I mean, we're a business, so we appreciate when you buy something, but that's not a necessity. If you come in and play chess, you come to the poetry night, you just come in, and we have people that come in and bring their own books and just sit and read. We have a library. People just come in and grab a book off the shelf and just read, right? And so it was really for that purpose, right? Because bookstores are not a profitable business, right? They're not a real lucrative business, right? You ask, especially independent bookstores. So you don't get into it for the money. Right. You get into it for to build community and to educate and enlighten folks, right? And so that was something that we saw was a need here in Phoenix. And I mean everywhere, right? But definitely here, here. When we have a growing population, but not necessarily a growing community when it comes to in numbers, sure, but in spirit, right? And in life, and in purpose, right? You don't see a lot of growth there, especially before. And so that's just something that we wanted to contribute to create a space where people could come in and build relationships with each other, right? We know we need to heal, right? There's a lot of trauma that has been heaped on us, right? That we've been, I say it all the time, we've been escorted into this position. We didn't get into this position by ourselves. We had a whole lot of help. Right, and so, but we have to be very intentional if we're going to fix the problems and resolve the issues that we're still plagued with in our community. But that starts with us healing, right? That starts with us building relationships together. Because if I see, the person next to me as my brother, as my sister, I'm not going to let them catch hell the way that we've been catching hell in this country for hundreds of years. And so it's a lot of things, right? There's a lot to it, but it really started as that. It started as, we need a space. We need a space to just come in and be together. We need a space that's focused on knowledge. And then selfishly, right? I got young daughters, and there was a smoothie place that we used to go to all the time, Black-owned smoothie spot, and unfortunately they closed down. And I was like, I'm gonna open up a spot where me and my little girls can come and drink smoothies together.
That's fire. I think something that you said that was powerful is obviously you thinking about the youth, right? And so that part of a lot of even just what I do, it's for, I want my daughters to hear interviews like this and be like, 20 years from now, they're gonna pick up wow, Dad was doing this, and I remember at that smoothie. So I told them I'm coming down here. I see some books. I took some pictures. I was like, well, which book y'all think y'all will want?
Yeah.
And so they're like, I want the purple one. They're 2 and 5 right now. They'll remember this because I'm going to bring them down here and stuff. And so that type of reason why I'm doing something is I want to bring up the leaders and the guides that are in the community. And so that's kind of why I'm even doing all this. But you said something also. You were we have a lot of trauma bonds with people, trauma bonding, and I'm just thinking about the bookstore, how can we, like, this is like a space of like knowledge bonding. Like, we learning something that we can like take away from here and apply it in like our, wherever we're at. But some of the things that I always talk about with bookstores is like, we get so inundated with stories, like your Facebook stories, Instagram stories, like, so the TikTok stories. Whereas you come here and you have intentional stories that authors created to take you on a journey, not this 15-second story, 1 minute story, which are cool because we getting like a little bit of someone's life that we kind of tapping into, whatever. But I just think some of the power that some books, for me, like growing up, I was like, wow. Like, I remember there's a book we had to read. It was just a random book. I think it was like 5th grade. It was called Hatchet.
Okay.
I think everybody in the Midwest, we had to read Hatchet.
Okay.
It was like a little kid, a plane wrecked, but I remember I was reading. I'm like, yo, he's like, all right, stop reading. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah, mine was Tears of a Tiger.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is crazy.
It's so like the way that books will transport you to a story. I forget the power of it until I start reading it. I'm like, and my wife's like saying, I'm like, huh? I'm like, what you say? I would be like listening, but then I'll be like, oh, okay, my bad. And then and I'm reading like a little 5-minute devotional book. And like that's transformed. It's pushing me to like, it's some Bible verses and stuff, but those are so powerful. It's like, he drew his sword. Like, you really get into it real quick because it's just a verse, The power of stories, how did that like really, did it amplify or did it like happen when you were younger? How'd that go?
So that's the interesting part of it because I'm not the reader, which is probably surprising for folks owning a bookstore, right? I'm the political education guy, right? That's really what I'm on, and I was heavy into activism when we first opened the store, and so all the books, I've told the story before, but all the books came from when we first started came from my house, right? We didn't know, I didn't know anything about running a bookstore, starting a bookstore. We just wanted to start it. Right. And so I grabbed books from my house. I was buying books from Goodwill and stuff like that. And so they were all political education, history, right, social justice. Like, it was all those types of books. And because I'm like, this is stuff we need to know, right? This was 2019, 2020. So it was, extreme turmoil in the country. So I'm like, this is what we need to be studying. We need to be educating ourselves, right? Movement work requires study. People need to join the movement. Right. So that's what I was on, right? And my wife was like, don't nobody want to read them boring books. She'll say, nobody wants to sit around reading those sad books. And my wife's a reader.
Yeah.
She reads the fiction. She reads the novel. She'll polish a book off in like 2 days.
Damn.
Right. She'll be reading it.
She be getting busy.
Yeah. And she's like that type where she'd be like, you can't believe, listen to this and that. I'd be like, all right. So she's really the one that like, showed me like how people, this love of reading, right, and like sparked that in me. So now, we have every single kind of book, and definitely our fiction section is probably our biggest section now. But when it first started, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But it's beautiful to see, and over time, it's definitely become a big priority to inspire that love of reading, right? Audiobooks are cool, ebooks are cool, and stuff like that. But like when people come in to a black bookstore to buy a black book and sit down and read it, like there's something special about that. Like you said, the author took the time to tell those stories, right, to share that knowledge. And when people are sitting down and studying it and incorporating it into what they do and in their process, man, it's unbelievable to see that play out in life.
Yeah, even people like, oh, you should write a book. I was like, bro, I read books.
Right.
Well, when I read books, dude, I could see so I used to rap, right? When you rap, do you rap?
Yeah.
You guys, okay,
yeah.
Like, and if you take rap serious, so like you had Nas on here, someone bought the Nas painting off of you. I was wanting to get that, but when you take rap serious and like your favorite artists are like lyricists, and when you write your own, you want to be intentional with what you're saying. I'm trying to bar up. I'm trying to have a witty something in there. It needs to rhyme, obviously, but it needs to have something, like it needs to tie back to something else. So the intentionality in just 16 bars, right? So a book, people are like, oh, you should write a book. I'm like, bro, days, obviously now you can use AI to help with stuff, but like, to me, writing a book, and when I see authors and I'm looking at local authors, I'm like, wow, that's fire that people can write a book, piece it together. I think there was like, I think it was called Penguin House or something. It was like the biggest one. It was like a big deal back in the day where you couldn't really press up a lot of books, and now local authors can put their own book together and then put it in a place like this. So like, so that type of like community draw, I think, is even more of like a, it's like, look, this is where, I'm not saying you need to be, but like it's where you ought to be. Like you need to be in places, especially talking about the activism stuff that you got, that kind of prompted a lot of this. Like, kind of want to get into that. How did you even get into the activism? Is it from a young age? Was it something that happened when you were like in school or something? How'd that come about?
Yeah, man. It was just taking a step back and studying, right? And which we were talking about this prior to the camera coming on, but there's a very intentional effort to keep us distracted and to keep us confused, and to make sure that we don't understand the times that we're in, and how this condition came to be, right? And so it takes an intentional act to take a step back and educate yourself and turn off the distractions, and I think that's the very first step that unravels everything, right? That's what Gil Scott-Caron said, that the revolution is in the mind, right? That's where the first revolution has to take place, is in the mind. And so, if we're constantly distracted, if we're not focused, and if we don't care about what's happening, if we don't care what's happening in the Congo, if we don't care what's happening in Palestine, we don't care what's happening next door to us or in the street, if we don't care what's happening to our people, to the earth, then it's easy to change the channel. It's easy to, go to sleep at night and not feel like you have to do anything about it, right? But I didn't have that problem, right? I was deeply connected to and deeply concerned about the condition of my people, but just all people, right, and the earth. And so it didn't make sense to me how these things kept happening. How we kept having a Trayvon, and how we kept having a Rakia Boyd, and how we kept having a Sandra Bland. And so I was at a time in my life where I was comfortable, right? I had a nice job, I had a house, I was recently married, but at the same time, it was the most stressful time of my life because the world was crumbling, right? And I felt like there was something I needed to do about it. And so I just started to educate myself on history, on how we got here, on how this continues to happen. And then once I, as I educated myself and studied, okay, well, where are the issues, right? And what's the root cause of the issues? And then what are the potential solutions? And how could I be a part of the solution? And to me, once you go through that analysis, then you have to act. Right, and so I just started working. I started organizing. I started trying to help businesses, because for me, my passion and a little bit of skills that I have is in business, and also a lot of the problems is because of a lack of resources, a lack of wealth, and things like that. And so I just kind of lined those two things up to say, okay, well, how can I help businesses and Black people to create wealth through business, in order to solve some of these problems that we continue to face, which is oftentimes because of lack of resources. And so that's what started me down the path, and yeah, so I just been focused on that. I try to stay focused. When you're passionate, you're all over the place. But because I did music and all kind of stuff, I'm like, no, stay focused. We on this right now. You know what I mean? And so I just stay focused on that, and so that's where the bookstore, all of that, and everything else I'm doing is a product of that.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because that's kind of where a lot of even my skill building is started when I went to Standing Rock. It was 2016. Up until then, I'm 39, so we're similar age. I was just a knucklehead. I was going to the club, going to the bar, had a job, had 2 jobs, had a car, wasn't really living for nothing. And then Standing Rock happened, and I'm indigenous and Black, and so there was like a calling from me. I seen this, like, the image was like this dog. They had these dogs on like and then this little girl, she was, they just had a video of her. The dog didn't bite her, but it looked like the dog was trying to get the dogs on the people. And so I was in the space, I was like, what's going on? I need to be there. Like, it was like this internal calling. I was just like, I need to go up there. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, let me preface that, but I told her, I was like, I gotta go to Standing Rock. And she was like, well, we need to reevaluate our relationship. I'm like, I'm thinking she about to be supportive. We were beefing at the time, but like,
tell the full story.
We were beefing at the time. I'm like, all right, this is a reason for us to break up.
Yeah.
But I went up there. She was obviously like, what's going on up there? I wrote like some small blogs. One of the homies was like, yo, I'm trying to send you some bread. You should start a GoFundMe. I was like, nah, I don't want that. Because people were up there making money off of what the intentionality was happening. I was like, nah, I already see people try to make money, and they were trying to kick them out of camp and stuff. He's like, no, just put it on your blog, like on the bottom, like, and I'll just send you some money, because he's like, I wish I could do what you're doing. And it's a brother of mine. Like, he was like, he's like, I'm not native, I'm black. Like, I don't know what I could help or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? I appreciate that. So I put it up. So people start sending me money. I didn't even know people was reading it. And then I had comments underneath. It's like, Eddie, oh my God, I love seeing you do this. And so like that got me to being like, okay, I got a little skill set in telling stories a little bit. And so that kind of prompted me to do that. And now I'm kind of in a space of like how a podcast can be a decolonization tool to where we can hear what's happening. A lot of times now, or tech now gives us the opportunity to push valuable information out like that. So we could go live. When you go live, it lives on the internet forever because you can't erase it. You can probably take down a post, but when you go live or you post something, it's a feed that now is out there. And so like what we were battling against was the victors were writing the history books. So being indigenous, they swept almost every fact under the rug. And then obviously we don't got I don't know what tribe I am from Africa, but now that we're able to kind of create our own archive, like this, it's not hard to do. It's just that we don't have like the framework of why we should start doing that. And so this is kind of why I'm doing it, and just how you set up how you're record, or the reason why you created a bookstore. I'm like, oh, like this is like one of the decolonization tools is bringing the knowledge to the people. Just hearing you say, I'm like, damn, he is like bringing the concentrated information to the community and making it accessible is something powerful. So I just want to kind of salute you for that.
Yeah, it's appreciated, man. It's necessary, you know. Malcolm is behind me intentionally. You know, we try to honor ancestors in the space, but he has a quote that says, you know, of all our studies, history is you know, has the highest likelihood of rewarding our research. Right, and so, but it's absolutely true. We have to understand history. We have to study it. Because there's so much that has happened, right? So much, and so much of it was intentional, like what you just mentioned. Of like, I don't know that exact specific history, but right, there's always been this attempt to oppress the workforce, right? The workers, and black workers specifically, right? That's why unions were created, right? To give power to the workers. And so there's still this effort to dismantle unions. They just fired, I forgot which company it was. I think it might have been Amazon or something like that, but just fired, closed down one of their factories that had unions, and it was trying to unionize, I think maybe in Canada or something like that. Right, but we just have to understand, right? We have to understand history, or else if we don't, everything that we see is going to confuse us. Right. There's nothing new under the sun. Most of the things that are happening now, from Trump to to everything else, right? It's not the first time these things have happened, right? And there's a very intentional act as to why these things are happening. But if you're not studied, if you're not educated on how these things work, then you just confuse, right? And it gives way to emotionalism. It gives way to despair. And then it gives way to doing things that just aren't serious. Like I've been hearing about boycotts and all these other things, but it just doesn't seem to be any like strategy or approach behind it, right? Because we don't have any power, right? And so it's just unfortunate, that we're not taking the time to educate ourselves And so yeah, that's why we do a lot of what we do is like, okay, well let's read, right? Let's understand how they dealt with it in the past, or how we dealt with it in the past, right? Like I said, a lot of these things happen. It's not the first time some of these things have happened within the last 10 years, right? So it's like, how do we get over it last time? How do we get through it last time? How did Black Wall Street, how was that created? We want to create wealth, right, within our community. How was Black Wall Street able to do this in the 20s, right? Without social media, without all of the tools and resource and access that we have, right? And so, we just have to take a step back sometimes and, really, just study and educate ourselves.
Wow, that brings me to thinking about the other businesses you have. Archwood, so can you kind of explain that? Because that's obviously kind of in that same wheelhouse where you want to create multiple entities that are supporting each other and just kind of go in. Because I seen that there was like a market, some similar things there. Yeah,
so Archwood, it was interesting that Black Wall Street just came out. So Archwood is the name is a combination of Archer and Greenwood, which is an intersection in Greenwood, Oklahoma, where Black Wall Street was, right? And so, but the goal is just that, is to create wealth through business for community-minded entrepreneurs. We focus on education, we focus on training, we focus on creating opportunities, creating space, and just building community of entrepreneurs. And so we've been working for 8 years. We started with the marketplace. The Buy Black Marketplace is the thing that we're most known for. We do it every month. And we get, between 30 and 40 businesses there, bring the community out. So it's to have a good time. We celebrating, we dancing, we eating. But, we're intentionally focused on these businesses, right? And giving them the feedback, giving them the support that they need, sharing resources, sharing connections to help them go higher, right? Because in order to have a strong, thriving community, you got to have strong, thriving businesses. And so that's what we do. And throughout the course of 8 years, we have started a number of businesses, this being one that started at the marketplace and have grown. But we've also grown our services, grown our work, and amplified our impact. So we have a retail store over on Roosevelt where businesses have their products in the store. So now we still do the vending. If you want to come out and vend, that's cool. But if you want to have your product in the store where it could be generating passive income for you while you're doing other things, that's what the retail store is for. We just opened up a 13,000 square foot event space, and it's going to serve as a big business incubator and community space right around the corner from here, which is also in East Lake Park. It's called The Archwood at East Lake. And we still do our events, and then we also have, again, a couple other businesses that fall under the umbrella. So Straw and Wool Hat Company falls under that, Stardust and Sage, and then Brownstone Spa.
Wow, so you the man to come to if anybody got a business that they trying to...
Well, it's not me. It's a team effort. Okay. It's an organization. I serve as the first executive director of the nonprofit, but it's a bunch of us that are working, and so everybody's just the same thing. Just got that servant mindset of like, it's our moment. We're gonna be the ancestors one day. So while we're here, what's the work that we're gonna do? What's the impact that we're gonna make? So that those coming behind us, our babies, their friends, those who are coming behind us. And even after that, what kind of world will they inherit?
Damn. So like your childhood, what gave you like this servant posture? Like now you're obviously older. Like how was your childhood that kind of helped cultivate this?
Man, that's a good question. I really don't know what my mom is she's in the church. She's a pastor.
There you go.
Yeah, she's a pastor. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. Well, she was an evangelist then, but I'm sure that has something to do with it. And my dad, even though he was military and he, very typical military guy. Yeah. But he always had a heart for other people, a heart of service. And so, but I don't really know. I can't point to anything specific as to what made me want to dedicate my life to this kind of cause of service to humanity. I just knew, again, I just knew that something was wrong. It might be the like idealist in me of like, you know, peace on earth. You know, I'm a believer also, so I just felt like this isn't the type of world that we should live in, right? And if I'm here for a reason. And what greater purpose than a harmonious world than to dedicate yourself to? And I strongly believe, you know, for me, being who I am, that starts with free and liberated black folks, right? And if you do the history, you'll see that, you know, that's been thwarted at every attempt. Man. From COINTELPRO to our leaders being killed to, you know, what's happening in Africa and leaders being assassinated and all these efforts, all this agenda that's been going on for so long so that black people don't get on solid ground. Right? It's crazy history about Haiti, but Napoleon said, I'm doing this to stop forever the march of the black man on earth.
Whoa.
Forever to stop the march of the black. And you want to talk about no physical march, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the rise of black people. And when you look at what, we ain't gonna get all into, I mean, we get into history. Yeah. But then we look at what Haiti did when they got free, right? They went around liberating other countries, right? Look, most of Central and South America is free because of what Haiti did. Even America. Yeah. When you study the Louisiana Purchase, like America wouldn't be what it is without Haiti. So why does America not get the support and the respect, or excuse me, why does Haiti not get the support and respect from America? Right. When so much of America's strength and success is a result of Haiti, right. Their sacrifice. And so, you know, when we look at just looking at the history, we see that there's always been these attempts to stop us from getting strong. And, you know, I'm sure there's fear because of everything that we've been through, but that's no reason for us not to do what we need to do to get strong and free, right? And so that's just what I feel is important for this time and this time span on earth. Right. Is for us to be strong and free, for everybody to be strong and free. Right. Nobody should be oppressed. Nobody should be suffering under tyranny in 2025. I mean, ever, but the fact that of all the knowledge that we have access to, all this information age,
to have AI and to still be in this situation, ask AI, should there be, like, if you ask anything like that, I bet it's going to be like, the way you can allocate resources, and it'll, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go put in AI and be like, how does everyone have an equality of life with equitable upward mobility? I guarantee it's going to pop something out and it's gonna be like, duh.
It's gonna say, liberate black folks.
Right, nah, for real. It's gonna be like, yo.
Liberation.
Yeah. But you said something, you was talking about, obviously, your childhood and stuff. There was a moment when I realized that I didn't think like how most people thought. Like when I was like, oh, I'm different from the homies. Yeah. So like mine was, someone dropped a wallet and I was like, dang. He probably got some money. I let him look. I was like, I would want someone to return my wallet. He had like $25 in there. And I was like, yo, bro, someone, you sure? He was like, that's not mine. It looked like so-and-so. And I was like, oh, there you go. And I gave it to him. And this is not a strike on my mom or anything, but I told her what happened. And she was like, was some money in there? I was like, yeah. She was like, you just gave it to him.
She's like, you got to get a finder's fee or something.
That's what she was trying to be like. Yo, he gotta pay for that because you could have took it. I was like, for real? She was like, you know what? You did the right thing.
Like, but next time.
But no, but she was just like, but her. I guess she came to react, like it hit her when she was like, you did the right thing. So this is what she said. She was like, most people wouldn't have done what you did. I was like, why not? I was like, that's the right thing to do. And she was like, most people just, for whatever reason, don't make that choice. Right. So that was my like, oh, I'm different than like most people. So like, do you have that?
Yeah, I had it when it was through my friendships. The friends that I would always have and have around were like people that it feel like society had pushed out. And I didn't really think much of it. I was like, that's my guy, that's my boy, whatever. You know, we hanging out. Yep. And then my mom would always be like, why are you hanging with them? I'm like, that's my friend. You know, it's cool, whatever. And then I forgot who. No, it was actually one of my pastors from another church back in Texas. And he's like, a lot of people collect. What did he say? It was so hilarious. He's like, they collect stray dogs. He's like, you collect stray people. And that always stuck with, like, it did. It was just, you know, a humorous thing. Like, okay, I get it. But I was like, no. It's like, you know, I had this deep care for people who have been afflicted, right? Because life is hard, right? Life is really hard. A lot of people have just been dealt some really unfortunate circumstances. And, you know, and I think, you know, there's this, sometimes this prevailing thought, it's like, you know, people have done stuff to deserve it or whatever. But sometimes it's just you get dealt a bad hand, right? And, you know, I've always wanted to try to do something to help, though, because, you know, when as I was coming up, you know, there's always been people who have looked out for me. You know, me and my mom, you know, my dad, he was overseas doing the military thing. You know, there was things that we needed, help that we needed. And so people were always, you know, willing to reach out and lend a helping hand, whether it was mentoring me, whether it was making sure I had, you know what I'm saying, I was looked out for. My family, I'm blessed with a great, amazing family. Not everybody has that. And so, you know, it was just one of those things of like, okay, I see how this works, right? But it doesn't work for everybody, right? And so if I can do something to help somebody feel that love, to feel that support, right, then I'm gonna do it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a when you were saying that, I was thinking, I was like, dang, I remember I used to get bullied. I became the bully. And then I started protecting the kids that were getting bullied.
Yeah, right.
Because I was seeing myself in them.
Right.
I was like, damn, I see these, because I had curly hair. I'm Native American and black. They like, yo, look at Indian in the cupboard. So it was good. I'm getting roasted, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, back then we like African booty scratch. So we say all the little joints.
Man, kids can be so cruel, man.
No, but see, it's funny though.
But it builds character.
And then
too.
my homie, he like, so he dark skinned. My homie, he dark skinned, so he was always like, oh, yo, like, so he would be joking with me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, don't do him up. Like, we would do this stuff.
Right.
But like, it was just like this, like, we had an interaction, but then I realized like I could poke fun at it, but other people weren't, I wouldn't say they probably just didn't experience it enough. And so I didn't grow up in the church. I started going to church with my grandma when I was like 12, 13. But and she went to a Baptist church. Like we in that joint for like 2.5 hours.
Well, good day.
Man, they're singing. Reverend, oh my God, Reverend, he was getting bit. Yo, but I remember a lot of the teachings, but I'm trying to go back to the seeing myself in it, because when I was growing up, like we were poor. I was the oldest of 7, so I was a protector of them. But like, I'll be fighting kids in the neighborhood and stuff. But when I start like getting like being able to like defend myself and all that, I was like, yo, you, and I would start picking on the kids who I thought was bullying. That made me the bully. I was like, oh, dang, I'm the bully now. Because they like, yo, watch it. Someone was like, yo, tell your brother he can't come. I was like, what? Why can't I come?
Oh, wow.
But I'm like telling them what to do and all that stuff.
Right.
And so when my brother told me, I was like, dang, that's me. I'm the bully now.
Right. And
so I was like, I gotta change. Now I gotta be like, hey, leave them alone. They cool. Right. Why you messing with them?
Right.
So now I play the video game with my little nephews in them. Now I'll be like, yo, leave him alone, bro. He like 10. Because we play game stuff. And I always just see like dang, I used to be like that, but I like processing where I was to where I am now, because it's like, dang, I'm doing the right thing. So just kind of how when you said that, I was like, it's good to feel like the growth of yourself. And so just all of what you're doing, and I'm really getting to know you in this conversation. So like it feels good to be around people who are aware of themselves, but also like know what they bring to the community. Just like, yo, we need this. And when you say you're a father, you have some daughters too, I'm like, I feel like the kids really be like the ones that be equipping us with these like, you know, I got to do this for my daughter, or I got to create this in lieu of me having my daughter. So like those type of things, like I'm so like willing to be able to be a resource to people like that, because there's not a lot of us. Right. Not a lot of people out here trying to do the right. They get into the money, which is cool, but like sometimes all money ain't good money. Right. So I don't know. That was just when you were saying, I'm like, dang. Most people don't even process where they get their moral compass from. Right. It's just like, oh yeah, I got a job. Right. And so for people that are like guides, like I said, I like to call you guys guides. Obviously a leader, but like, I feel like you're guiding the pathway for the community. And so,
yeah, I mean, the truth is, a lot of people are just existing.
Yeah.
You know, people are just on autopilot, susceptible to any way the wind blows. Right. We have to not until you take that time to really analyze yourself, analyze the world and how the two fit together, do you start to live, right? And do you start to tap into what your purpose is here? And so until you've done that, yeah, it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And like I said, most of it's emotion. Right. Which is not as always a bad thing, because, you know, that can start the process, but so many people skip over the important steps of educating themselves and looking inward. Right. And, you know, if you don't do that necessary work, you know, it's like a tree without the roots. Right. And then that's why you see a lot of people who start off strong in activism or whatever field that they're in, and then the money comes. Or the clout comes, the recognition comes, and it's like, well, why they do that?
Right.
It's like, you're like, I ain't gonna say no names, but it's like, you know, you see people and they be like, okay, they strong over here, and then now you doing a Cadillac commercial. Yeah. It's like, wait, that don't line up. You know, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. But it's we get so distracted though, because of the lack. So I like how you said it. It's akin to something that I'm very strong about. It's like the indigenous roots. So like I'm reconnecting my roots because I didn't have a foundation. Yeah. And so it's a line. It's probably out there. I don't know, but for me, it's like linked roots connect, or linked roots help you build a foundation. Because I don't have any, like I said, I don't know any like history from my dad from Africa. Like all that's obviously been stripped from a lot of Americans. And then on my indigenous side, I grew up in the city. So I'm mixed, I'm black and Indian, how people see it. But being almost, so I'm Omaha tribe. I go to the res, they're like, oh, he's city Indian. That's what they call us, right? But I go to the hood. I grew up in the. I'm in the hood. They're like, oh, he Indian in the cupboard, right? So so squad told, like they making jokes and stuff, which is funny, but like that's how it was seen. But I could hoop, I could play football, so it was easier for me to like be cool, like to fit in, right? But I go back to the res, and I was getting like, they was calling me the N-word, and I'm like, what? And I never heard a white person call me that growing up. Yeah. It was the natives on my tribe saying it. And they were just trying to like, actually I don't know what they was doing, but I knew that they were saying it to be like, you not like us. Yeah. Right. Like I'm like, so I'm fighting them, obviously, like we getting busy, but like I went and told my mom, I was like, Mom, how come I'm like, she was just like, you're different, like it's okay, like you don't want to be like everybody anyway. Right. And I didn't get it, but like, as obviously we gotten older and stuff, and these like little things that does help shape me for being like, people, how you said people are just existing, like, and I want to live with a purpose. And I didn't think I'd bring this up, but like when you said that, I had a dream. I don't know if you ever had dreams which like your ancestors visit you. Have you ever had that? Bro, this just happened last week. My grandma visited me in a dream of mine, my black grandma. Yeah. She pulled up in a truck, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, and I'm trying to talk to her. The whole dream, I couldn't talk to her. I was like, and it was just her talking. And she was like, you need to pay it, so you're forgetting the small things, the details. She said, you're forgetting the details. I was like, so right when she pulled up, I smelled her perfume. And so she's the one that had the Jet magazine. So okay. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm forgetting the details, and I'm thinking I'm forgetting the details. And she was like, the details like your daughters, or when your baby was born, the time your baby was born, or simple as the time you need to pick somebody up. In my dream, I was like busy, I had like an event. Something was happening in my dream where I was like, I put off her picking her up or something in my dream. And I was like, okay. Then she like drove, and I was trying to open the door. She was like, you ain't getting in, you gotta walk. And so like, she's saying these things in my dream. Yeah. And so she turns, and then all of a sudden I'm in like 3 homes of hers. 2 I remember, 1 I don't remember. I told my uncle this story. He was like, oh yeah, that's her home on Kansas Street. I was like, I remember the color of the wall. He was like, that's the home. And so I'm telling him the story. What was fire was, when I woke up and I told him the story, I could hear him walking around my aunt, and he's like, oh, that's her. I felt him going through her visiting him as I was telling the story. Yeah. And then she said something when I sat down. I'm getting goosebumps again. She was like, you think you a man, huh? Because I was wanting to tell her, yo, I'm a good dad. Yeah. So my dad, he was locked up till I was about 14, 15, which is her son. And she had moved to Omaha for him, like, or he had got locked up in Omaha, so she had moved or whatever. And
where was she from?
She's from Toledo, Ohio. Okay. Yeah. So she went through a lot of like racist stuff happening. But anyway, she was like, you think you a man? She's like, a man gets 2 jobs when he's, or you get 2 jobs when you become a man, an astronaut and a trash man. And I'm like, in my dream, I'm like, what does that have to correlate with anything?
Like, break that down.
And so she was like, you launch into your purpose, and a trash man, you get rid of the things that are in the way. I was like, woke up, I was sweating, I was like, what the I was like, what was that? Like I said, I smelled her perfume, I was like, so my wife, she was away, I was like, what is good? And I'm sitting there for an hour trying to process the dream, and I'm crying. I'm like, dang, that was Granny. I smelled the perfume. And like, but then I came to the conclusion, like, obviously what she said, like, it's very clear. Like, keep going to your purpose and get rid of the things that are in the way. I was like, why couldn't I talk to her? And then it hit me. I was like, I'm probably trying to be so happy, because my dad just passed away last November. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. And so in that, I was like, oh, I was so happy to tell her I'm a good dad. And like, that was her trying to probably saying like, you supposed to do that, but you got a purpose, you got a reason to be here. Get rid of this stuff out of the way. And so I was like, how come I couldn't talk to her? I was processing. I was like, probably because I need to listen to what she's saying, because I'm trying to put, oh, I'm a good dad in front of that. You know what I mean? And so it was just, but you kind of were talking about that. I was like, I think I do want to. I wanted to talk about it. At first I wasn't. I was just like, nah, this is. I've had that, like that's the first time I ever had that happen to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I was blown away. I'm still blown away by I told my wife, she was like, oh my God, my wife, she switched up her morning pattern. She started reading the Bible every morning for like the last, like, I think year and a half. So she'll wake up with the sun and she'll be reading the Bible. And she started in the Old Testament. I was like, no. I was like, you got starting like Paul or something. She was like, because it's like mad, like dull, like. Right. And I'm trying to give her, like, I went to some church camps and stuff back in the day, and I was like, trying to give her some game on it. She's like, no. Sister, why are you trying to tell me? You got a pastor? Right. I was like, you right. You know, let me let you hoop. So, but she'd been reading it, and I told her this story. I told her about. She was like, whoa. She was like, the stuff I'm reading right now in the Bible is talking specifically about like being open to be or she perceived it as like you're receptive to having God speak to you through different mediums, different people and stuff. And so I was just like, and she's like, so tell me again. So she'll ask me about it again. I'm like, she said this. She was like, that is, because that's what's happening right now for me. Right. I'm like getting in this space, and I'm just like, whoa, it's for me, it just feels good to kind of even be here, to kind of get you, capture you, for you to kind of talk about what you're doing. And I just know I'm doing the right thing. So I just want to appreciate you for being on the podcast, man. I think, one, what you're doing is like outstanding. Like I seen Dawn when I came, I was just standing at the Jets. I'm like, whoa. And I like left here, and I was like turned, and she was looking at me. She was like, hi. I was like, oh, my bad. I was like, I didn't even realize I didn't know you was there. But it's so inviting, the music, the space. So if you ever visit Phoenix, definitely come down here. It is definitely a vibe. Like, it's like, and then the smoothie, I think I got the, what was the one last time? The garlic and
you had the
carrot juice.
First thing you had was the Marley.
Yeah, that was fire.
And then you got the fried ham.
Dude, that was like the garlic carrot juice. Boy.
Yeah, carrot juice, yeah. Ginger.
The ginger, my
garlic.
bad.
Was looking crazy.
Ginger, yeah.
they put garlic in the drinks.
Man, my
Yeah,
bad.
ginger. Yeah,
Yo, it was so spicy. She was like, "You want to put some ice in it?" So like, I was like, "Yeah." I thought the ice like made it even more strong. Man, it was fire. It cleaned me
Activated
up.
the ginger in it.
Yo, it cleared me out. I was like,
yeah.
yo. I was taking deep breaths. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see. You know, the community really appreciate the space and what we've been trying to do, because it's a struggle, right? Business is a struggle. Period.
Yeah.
Being black and in business is definitely, you know, can be a struggle. And when you're in a business like this one, being an independent bookstore, you know, it's a struggle sometimes. So we had to sacrifice a lot. But we've been here, you know, thankfully we've been 5 years, it's our 5th year.
Wow.
And, you know, there's that old thing of like, you know, most businesses fail within the first 5 years type of thing. And so it's so, you know, something I think spiritual and poetic about it, this being 5 years. And like the way the community has been showing up, even just the last couple of weeks, has been like nothing I've ever seen before. Like every day we get people coming in. We just had somebody came here all the way from Memphis just to come to the bookstore.
Wow.
Came here from Memphis to come to Grassroots Bookstore.
Dang.
Like no other reason. She was like, now I'm here, I'm gonna go do some other stuff. She's like, but I came here to come to this bookstore.
That's fire.
Yeah, and so, but it's, you know, people come here. This couple came from Vegas. They were just here for a day. They came in and hung out and shopped on Sunday. And so, you know, we're just starting to see, you know, people really, really value the space and support the space and what we're trying to do. And that's it's just a beautiful thing, man. Like we're seeing it over and over, like you said, just how you did when you came in at the Jet. Yesterday, a brother came in. He was riding his bike, and he came in here and he sat in that chair and he was picked up some books from the library. I was having a conversation, so I didn't get to see what book he was reading, but he just sat down and I just saw him flipping through the pages, maybe for like 20 minutes, and he got up and walked around. And he just thanked me. He was like, "Man, thank you for being here." He's like, I just got back from back to Arizona. He was like, I was away for a little bit. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, welcome back." But I think I knew what he meant. Like, yeah. So he just was like, "Man," he's like, "I'm gonna be back." He's like, "We need this." Yeah. You know, and so we just see that over and over again of people, you know, just really appreciating this space. And that's what we do it for. You know, it ain't to make money. It ain't for any type of recognition. It's, you know, because our community needs a space where we can come in and feel that. We can feel safe. We can feel like we're home again. We can feel like all the trauma and pressure and stress of being black in America get a little break from it, even if it's 20 minutes while you sit and drink a smoothie and listen to jazz and, you know what I mean, and play chess or whatever the case may be. But we need that. And you know, it's an honor and it's a privilege to be a steward of a space like this. Wow, that's a commercial right there, bro. Jeez, yeah. That's literally, you can clip that up. This is why you need to go. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you for being on the show, man. I want to thank you again. But yeah, I tell everybody, yo, you gotta go to Grassroots when you pull up. So thank you, brother. Oh, thank you, man. No, this is cool. Dang, that's fire. This is cool, man.